personnel loaded what looked like a giant pearl, a white, shiny sphere, onto a stretcher. The personnel that dealt with the object were dressed in some sort of white, hazardous material suits and seemed to be dusting off the sphere. After covering it with sheets that held the object tightly to the stretcher, they loaded it into an ambulance that pulled up near the helicopter and drove away. A local news reporter and a woman were also on the scene when all this happened. Lights, debris, and jets over northern Indiana. It began on Tuesday night, April 15, 2008, when a number of people living in the Indiana towns of Kokomo and Logansport reported seeing strange lights in their skies, hearing what sounded like a huge explosion, and seeing a giant fireball. The lights returned late Wednesday night and were accompanied by the sounds of more loud explosions, the presence of military jets, and evidence of debris falling from the sky. Most of the Wednesday night reports came from Howard and Tipton counties and sent police and firefighters scrambling. First responders headed out around 10:45 p.m. to what they thought might be a plane crash after receiving 146 calls in 15 minutes about strange events which seemed to be centered around the area of US 31 and 300 North. Although they found nothing there, calls continued to come in about the lights, the sounds, and an odd metallic smell that reportedly filled the downtown area of Kokomo. With no aircraft reported missing, local officials thought the whole thing might have involved a meteorite or some atmospheric phenomenon. I became aware of the odd events after hearing about it on various news broadcasts and receiving 5 online sighting reports between Wednesday night and Thursday morning. 2 of the 5 reports mentioned seeing falling debris that looked like spider webs but evaporated shortly after falling on roadways, grass, and structures. UFO researchers refer to that kind of material as angel hair. It tends to vanish after a short period of time. How fast depends on the outside temperature. Despite reporting the falling of debris to the authorities, all the print and broadcast news reports quoted local authorities as saying there was no evidence of any debris. Most of the news reports also omitted and ignored the presence of strange lights from their reports of the events that occurred on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. All the reports I received mentioned lights that moved rapidly across the sky from east to west. One of the television news broadcasts did eventually mention the lights and showed interviews with several of the witnesses on Thursday. The witnesses that contacted me reported seeing military jets along with the strange lights in the sky on Wednesday night. In fact, the military has come forward to take responsibility for everything that happened on those 2 nights. A press release from the office of Colonel Jeffrey Soldner, commander of the 122nd Fighter Wing, said, quote, "Loud noises reported by citizens in northern Indiana, accompanied by flashes of light and what appeared to be falling debris early this week, were the result of training conducted by Indiana National Guard F-16 aircraft headquartered at Fort Wayne's 122nd Fighter Wing," unquote. There are some problems with the official explanation. They begin with the noise heard on Tuesday night in the Logansport area. Described as sonic booms by the news media after the Air National Guard release, the actual sound heard was a single loud explosion that shook the walls of buildings and was followed by the appearance of a huge fireball in the sky. Smaller lights that dotted around what looked like jets were also seen that night. Several loud explosions were heard on Wednesday. While some of these may have been sonic booms, they do not explain the other events that occurred. By Thursday morning, most television news broadcasts throughout Indiana were calling the strange lights flares that were dropped by National Guard jets in military exercises in the skies above the Kokomo and Logansport areas. Please note that the press release from the military mentioned nothing about flares. Even if flares were dropped, they would not have explained the lights that moved quickly across the sky or the other strange events that occurred. Knowing that late-night training exercises would cause this kind of panic, why would military officials fail to notify the local officials and news media about them well in advance as they had before? The metallic odor single loud explosion heard on Tuesday and the follow-up events that occurred on Wednesday go way beyond military exercises. The witnesses that filed reports with me all said they could not recall the last time anything like this happened, and none said they ever remembered military training exercises taking place that late at night and causing such a melee. The events in northern Indiana are not isolated. A fishing boat captain reported seeing a huge object split into smaller lights off the coast of Atlantic City, New Jersey at around 8 p.m. on Wednesday night. He also said that a large tremor occurred about 10 minutes after the object split into smaller lights. It's interesting to note that an earthquake occurred in the Midwest on Friday, April 18, 2008, and was felt throughout Indiana, parts of Illinois, Kentucky, and Michigan. UFOs often appear en masse just before or after such events. When the fishing boat captain made inquiries about what he saw happen in the sky off the Jersey coast, the FAA said he had witnessed, quote, military exercises, unquote. No statements from the military have verified that statement as of this particular recording. However, several records and reports of smaller, glowing objects were reported late Wednesday night over eastern Long Island, and at least one of the reports mentioned a jet chase. According to witnesses, which included a reporter for the Arizona Republic newspaper, the Monday night light display seen over Deer Valley and other locations featured red lights. The bright objects morphed into various sizes and shapes, eventually forming a triangle and square shape. At least 3 U.S. military jets chased the lights as they moved west to east in the sky. Officials from Deer Valley Airport said that none of their aircraft were involved or responsible for the lights. Comparable events took place over the skies of Stevensville and Dublin, Texas back in January and have become known as the Stevensville Lights. According to multiple witnesses, U.S. military jets chased at least one large object during that occurrence. The jets may have continued to show up in Erath County, Texas, along with military helicopters, to investigate the reappearance of lights and other types of UFOs during the day and night since that time. Military aircraft have also buzzed the home of one or more UFO witnesses living in that area. Lights similar to those seen over Phoenix also appeared on Tuesday and Wednesday, April 14 and 15, 2008, over the towns of Kokomo and Logansport in northern Indiana. Those lights were accompanied by loud sounds, an odd metallic odor in the air, the appearance of military aircraft and debris falling from the sky. Earlier in the evening on Wednesday night, April 15th, a fishing boat captain reported seeing a huge object split into smaller lights off the coast of Atlantic City, New Jersey. He said that he felt a brief tremor after that event. In the case of the original Phoenix lights, the Stevensville lights, the lights in northern Indiana, and those seen off the Jersey shore, the U.S. Armed Forces claimed that they were just military exercises mistakenly reported as UFO sightings. However, a spokesperson for Luke Air Force Base said that there were no aircraft in the sky in Arizona on that particular night, and that the lights seen over Phoenix on Monday night were not a part of any Air Force activities. While it's doubtful that any known military or civilian aircraft were responsible for the appearance of the latest lights over Phoenix, and Luke Air Force Base has admitted as much, witnesses say that military jets were present during the event and chased the lights across the night sky. This is in direct conflict with the Luke Air Force Base spokesperson's claim that none of the jets were in the sky on Monday night. However, it's a nice change to find the military not immediately trying to explain any and all UFO sightings away as training or other military aircraft events. When the military does try and explain the lights away as jets involved in training exercises, it's obvious that all the recent sightings of these objects cannot be dismissed merely as military aircraft sightings by untrained observers. This is especially true in busy air corridors like northern Indiana and the skies off the coast of New Jersey. These are areas where many commercial and private aircraft are constantly in the air, heading to various major airports in those regions. It would have been beyond irresponsible for the military to fail to announce such exercises well in advance. Beyond the safety factor, It would also be ridiculous for military authorities to fail to announce any plans for exercises occurring late at night, giving the possibility that such events might cause a certain level of public panic and end up being reported as UFOs. Despite these facts, they keep on sending up jets to chase these objects, claim that there are no objects other than the military aircraft in the sky, and always seem to fall back on the same old explanation, one which is becoming increasingly, obviously, and laughingly unrealistic. Commenting on the odd lights seen on April 21, 2008 over Phoenix, the FAA says that the lights did not appear on radar and weren't a threat to any air traffic, so no action was taken. However, the FAA has issued a statement saying they will not allow the air traffic controllers to talk about what they saw. According to regional FAA spokesperson Ian Greger, it's against agency policy to allow the air traffic controllers to discuss what they saw. The Phoenix New-Times reported the story about the silencing of the Sky Harbor air traffic controllers, and they've already filed an official request to receive any documents or recordings that contain statements about the lights by the air traffic controllers. When asked what the FAA plans to do about the appearance of the lights in the sky over Phoenix on Monday night, FAA spokesperson Ian Greger said, "There's nothing to investigate." Now, this is in direct opposition to the FAA policy to investigate anything and everything strange that might be reported in the sky over the USA. That policy has been in place since the terrorist attacks of 9/11. Just a day after the lights were spotted, the Arizona Republic newspaper reported that Phoenix resident Lino Melo claimed his neighbor launched several helium balloons with flares on them. Lilo says the balloons went up in the sky from his neighbor's backyard around 8 p.m. on Monday night. A Phoenix police helicopter pilot also says that he saw what he believed might have been helium balloons with flares hanging from them on the same night. Despite these claims, there are some serious problems with the helium balloons explanation. After hearing the hoax story, I contacted a friend who lives in Phoenix. He agreed to try and reach Melo or his neighbor. Since the article came out on Tuesday, attempts to contact Lino Melo have failed. He does not answer his door, and his neighbor wasn't home when the friend stopped by on 2 occasions. In fact, people living 2 houses down from Melo say that they know Lino's next-door neighbor, and he wasn't even home on Monday night. The neighbors claim that they were out in their own backyard that evening and would have seen any balloons with flares on them being launched from that neighbor's backyard. They also agreed to ask him about the flare story if they happened to see him. By contrast, a number of witnesses have come forward to say that jets took off from Luke Air Force Base on Monday night. Luke still claims they had no aircraft in the sky that evening. Further, I asked Kelly Atwood, a professional photographic software expert, to take a look at the video and photos from the 4/21/08 Lights event. She has extensive experience examining UFO photos for legitimacy and has been able to identify many hoaxes involving balloons, dry cleaning bags, and flares. Kelly says that the lights were too bright and the wrong color to be flares. She also states that the video does not show the normal effect that flares exhibit as they burn. Instead, the lights resemble objects that would have been much larger with a steady source of illumination. Kelly lives in Phoenix but was working on Monday night and didn't see the lights. Apart from the holes in the hoax theory, the FAA issues, and the Luke Air Force Base denials that jets were in the air when residents said they were, there are other things that point to the fact that strange lights have been back over Phoenix for some time. All told, there have been hundreds of reports about strange lights and unidentified objects in the Phoenix skies since the original March 13, 1997 Phoenix Lights event. Many of the reports include photos, video, and come from credible witnesses. And strange lights are not just seen over Phoenix. Twice in 2 weeks, UFOs have been sighted and filmed in the skies over St. Augustine, Florida. As with the other areas in the state, UFOs have become commonplace since the South Florida power outage in 2008. After the new Phoenix Lights event, I received this very interesting report from Sherry Title and Nathan Morrison, who took a look at my article on the Phoenix Lights and sent this information to me. This is what they write. On Monday, April 21st, 2008, 4 lights appeared over Phoenix. Video and photos were taken. Air traffic controllers in the main tower at Sky Harbor International Airport visually identified them. Witnesses all over Phoenix confirmed the sighting. The FAA releases an initial statement reporting that the lights did not appear on radar and weren't a threat to any air traffic, so no action was taken. The FAA then issues a statement saying they will not allow air traffic controllers to talk about what they saw. Witnesses report Air Force jets were scrambled at roughly the same time the lights appeared in the sky. Tuesday, April 22, 2008. The Arizona Republic newspaper reports that Phoenix resident Lino Melo claims his neighbor launched several helium balloons with flares on them. Lilo says the balloons went up in the sky from his neighbor's yard around 8 o'clock on Monday night. An anonymous confessor comes forward and says he launched 4 latex balloons tied with fishing line anchoring common roadside flares to each balloon, launching them 1 minute apart into the air in his backyard. Lino Melo backs this story up in many interviews. April 26, 2008. Bill Nell, UFO investigator, writes an op-ed piece stating, "After hearing the hoax story, I contacted a friend who lives in Phoenix. He agreed to try to reach Melo or his neighbor. Since the article came out on Tuesday, attempts to contact Lino Melo have failed. He does not answer his door, and his neighbor wasn't home when my friend stopped by on 2 occasions. In fact, people living 2 houses down from Melo said they know Lino's next-door neighbor, and he was not home on Monday night. They claim that the neighbor was out in their backyard. They claim that they were in their backyard on that evening and would have seen balloons with flares being launched." Our investigation begins. A group of researchers, myself included, thinking that the alleged anonymous hoaxer's confession sounded highly suspicious and unbelievable, decided to investigate further after the above chain of events occurred. Just analyzing the theory that these lights were a flare tied to a latex balloon filled with helium, 4 of them total, poses 2 problems right away. A. Mathematically, a latex balloon of the size the hoaxer claimed he used would not be able to lift the flare off the ground, let alone be able to obtain the altitude. The question generated a lot of discussion among our staff. The fire code does not envision a situation where someone would attach a flare to a balloon and release it. This situation certainly presents hazards that we need to address. This is currently not a section of the fire code that prohibits this activity. We have referred your question to our attorney to draft appropriate language to be added to the fire code. Please let me know if I can provide you with any additional information. Kevin Roche, Assistant Fire Marshal. So according to the Councilwoman's inside police source, despite the denial to the media that the FAA has no plans to investigate, the police know differently, and indeed the FAA was investigating, as were the feds. Now, preparation and purchasing of the materials for our recreation of the hoaxer's story. Knowing ahead of time that mathematically the hoaxer's story was highly improbable, we created the alleged hoax at significant trouble and expense and acquired photo and video documentation of the experiment. Our results concluded firmly that the hoaxer's story was completely false. The researcher tasked with recreating the hoaxer's story did a search for a latex balloon. You would need a 3-foot diameter balloon or 36-inch diameter balloon. They are said to lift about 0.9 pounds, while our flare weighs only 0.8 pounds. This also means that our fishing line must weigh less than 0.1 pounds or 45 grams approximate. It also means that our balloon would be just about its maximum lift capacity, meaning a slower ascent than the equal-sized balloon with a lighter payload. It takes 80 gallons of compressed helium to make 11 cubic feet. We need approximately 14.1 cubic feet to achieve a lift of 0.9 pounds. In short, the guy running our experiment had the 36-inch latex balloon inflated to its maximum capacity. He then tied the flare to it with the fishing line. The flare could not be lifted by the balloon. He tried it both inside and outside and even took it to an alleyway where there was a clear wind. No lift. Still photos and video were taken of this experiment. Cited are links to the still photos and the video of this experiment. The anonymous alleged confessor seems to have been hoaxing the hoax, according to our findings. Something other than balloons with flares tied to them was seen over Phoenix. A police insider confirms that the FAA and feds are investigating. According to a police councilwoman, new information has uncovered that the witness, Lino Melo, is in the military, specifically the Navy, according to a search done of his old addresses over the years. And military jets were scrambled, according to many local witnesses. Neighbors of Milo's were outside the whole evening and saw no balloons tied to the flares being launched. And indeed, said the man who confessed to launching them, that he wasn't even home that night. Our investigative group feels that all of these facts are overwhelming evidence that something traveled on April 21, 2008 over Phoenix that warrants another media investigation into these events and not just the hoax theory. Strange lights have been seen all around the world in 2007 to 2008. In UK, they've made a real comeback. Noted UK UFO researchers Timothy Good and Nick Pope have called for an investigation into the recent wave of unexplained lights and objects seen over various parts of the UK. There have been over 150 sightings in 2008 alone, which include odd white and green lights seen spotted and photographed in Croydon, South London, at around 2 a.m. on Friday morning, August 29, 2008.